a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob. Let's get on with the show.
Oh, yes, it's time to talk about the group that Giants fans have been complaining about for the last
decade
10,
plus
20 years, it seems like. The offensive line, the biggest struggle this team has had since our last Super Bowl victory, going on 14 years ago, after next year now. And yeah, guys, this is not one of the years that we can go, okay, we saw some progress here. No, this was a poop show, to put it nicely, a poop show.
Yeah. Doggone poop show.
Yeah, so let's go over with you guys the poop show that was last year. And then we're going to go over with you guys options to fix the line. Because I do see a light at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. I do like the new coach we got there, Brasillo, for the offensive line. I think a lot of the issue still was coaching with Bobby Johnson. Not to put it all on him. It's not all him.
No.
But
I mean, there's also a burger flipper over there that probably wasn't.
Oh, yeah. We'll be talking about the burger flipper. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
So we have so many people that played on the offensive line this year. It's not even funny because of all the injury issues we had here. So instead of organizing it by starters, backups, position, all that kind of fun stuff there, I went purely based on snap count. I think an interesting way to go over it.
That's fair because there was definitely some more versatile players that got more snaps.
Oh, yes. Number one on top of the list, Ben Bredesen, guard, and also played a little center this year. 16 games on the season, 16 starts, 1,014 snaps. Not even close, a second in this whole race here. That he's by far the most snaps of any of the players here this whole season. Here's the problem, though. A 42.1 PFF grade, guys. That's it. That's not very good. Now, I know we've talked about PFF grades, and I realize when we're doing this, we really never haven't, at least in a while, given you guys what those numbers really mean here. So the PFF ranking overall, if you're less than 59, you're considered replaceable. Like your average run-of-the-mill, I can get anybody off the streets probably to replace you and be just as good. 69 to 60 is a backup. 84 to 70 is considered a starter. A quality starter, obviously, depending on what size of that scale you're on. The high 80s, 85 to 89 is like a Pro Bowl caliber player. And if you're 90 or above, you're considered elite. So, yeah. 40 clearly goes into that replaceable category. 42.1 for Ben Bredesen.
Wow.
Well, yeah, that's our leading snap count offensive lineman. And I'd love to tell you guys it gets better from there, but I'd be lying. Next up, Justin Pugh.
Pew.
Who's obviously a guard / tackle. Played both roles this season for us here. And this, it doesn't get better, guys.
Well, I mean, he, in his defense, was like a last-minute hire.
He was. So he was still keeping in shape. He was still keeping in shape to get everything rolling. So 12 games, 12 starts, 764 snaps, a 41.6 PFF grade. Not good.
I mean, let's not forget that at the beginning of the season, this guy was with Joe Flacco hanging out on their mom's in their mom's basement eating Pringles.
Yeah, but I don't give that excuse as much for an offensive lineman. Like, don't get me wrong. In the beginning, first couple games, okay, maybe a little bit off. But that wasn't the scenario for him. he got worse as the season went on. It felt like at the beginning of the year, like, okay, he's doing pretty good at this. He holding up pretty well. Okay, kind of impressed here. And then as the season gets on, worse and worse. Like, okay, now I see why he was a free agent.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
You paint rust any color, it's still rust.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you don't see the rust in the beginning. It takes a while to come through. That's what happened.
By the way.
And both these guys are free agents. Both Justin Pugh and Ben Bredesen. So we don't know if they're going to be Giants next year going forward at all in any way, shape, or form. So we'll have to see what happens there. Third on the list, John Michael Hemmerschleimer Schmitz. His name is my name too. John Michael Schmitz, JMS, the vaulted second-round pick of the New York Giants, the guy that everybody was excited, including us, that we got him. 13 games, 13 starts, 756 snaps, a 41.4 PFF grade, guys. Not very good.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I think before he got injured, I thought he was doing much better. I think the injury kind of was lingering. And I do think next year he'll be better, both because of experience and because of health-wise. I think he was kind of fighting through because, A, that's the player he is, and B, he also saw how banged up the offensive line was to begin with, you know?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. He's a rookie. He's coming in.
Been while you were kissing me.
We're talking about JMS.
You pervert.
But, hey, you're the one talking about kissing. I was talking about football.
You're the one who's trying to kiss me.
But anyway. Yeah, he's a rookie. I don't know when the last time a center has been taken in the draft and comes into a new offensive line that's not good and becomes a stud that has like a 90 rating on PFF.
No.
So, like, I expected a low grade. Maybe not, below 42 grade, but I didn't expect to see great stuff. Now, if we have the same conversation next year, that's when we're going to have to start, reevaluating.
Yeah. I mean, I think people kind of expected to pop in like Creed Humphrey did a couple of years ago with the Chiefs and kind of dominate. And I don't think that's realistic. I think you and I kind of had the idea that he would come in and be a below average center that didn't embarrass himself, but didn't exceed expectations either. And then kind of, develop from there, which I don't think you could safely say he did either. So, I mean, I think you can definitely say it's a disappointing season for him as a rookie, but you can also sit there and say, again, the health is possibly the reason.
Yeah, because, I mean, if he plays like he did through his first few games before he got hurt, granted, he finished with a 52 PFF rating, but we're having a different conversation.
Yeah, and I do think if you look at, the year that Andrew Thomas had as a rookie, keep in mind we talked about that. At the end of the year, we were like, "Oh my God, this guy's horrible!" Like, people like this was the worst of all the tackles after he was taken. And that year was 4 or 5 quality first round tackles, and you can make the argument he's the best now.
Yeah.
So, you can't all go by a rookie year, but I'm just saying, got to see if he's healthy, see what happens there, and take it from there. Next up is the guy we talked about here, Andrew Thomas. There he is. 10 games in, 10 starts, 577 snaps, 76.1 PFF grade, which is low for him, guys. But again, he was battling injury all year long himself. So he gets off absolute pass because, A, he's still injured at the best player we had in our offensive line, guys, by far. But you saw the struggle that was there. You saw what was going on. So, and I think it's safe to say those two guys we just talked about, JMS and Andrew Thomas, are the only people we're probably guaranteed a starting position next year on this whole list we're going to talk about here.
That's a pretty safe guess, I would say. Yeah. So, I'm sure there'll be more, but but not guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's other
Yeah.
guys you can talk about as possible starters, but these are the guys that you go into going. These are the two that deserve a spot and deserve a chance because you drafted JMS a second-round pick, so obviously to give him a second year. Andrew Thomas is the best offensive line we have by far, so obviously he's going to be there as well. So
He's the whole line.
Do me a favor. I got to step out of the room for 2 seconds here, real quick. You go with the next couple, and I'll be right back.
All right. Up next, Ty Phillips, tackle, played 10 games. Had 9 starts, 553 snaps. Who had surprisingly 52.7 on PFF. So once again, below average, replaceable kind of player, but stepped into. We didn't expect that much out of Ty this year. I think he played a little bit above where he should have been playing this year. But once again, you're sitting at a 52.7 PFF. You're still replaceable.
Yeah, but I like Tyree Phillips for a swing tackle kind of position. I hope we keep him long term, at least as a camp body. I don't think he's going to get a contract that you're going to be like, oh my god, okay, this guy has to make the roster. But I think he's a guy that we should bring in. I agree.
That's what I was getting at. Like he didn't embarrass himself. He played well. He played better than a lot of people thought. But once again, 52.7 is in that replaceable category. But that's a guy you can bring back as a backup. Bring in.
Yeah. I mean, the scary thing is, though, he played better than anybody else who played that position basically all year long, with the exception of one person who played 3 snaps all season. We'll get to it at the very end. But, I mean, a huge upgrade, I thought, when Evan Neal got hurt and he came in at right guard. I mean, again, Tyree Phillips is not the guy you build your team around. He's not the guy you expect or hope to have as your starting, tackle. But to have him as a guy as a backup, considering how he played, I think we could do a hell of a lot worse. That's for damn sure. And like I said, I think again he's somebody bringing in as a camp body. That's not going to be an issue. Having to give him a big contract. We didn't even keep him last year past training camp. Remember, me and Rob were flipping out about it. Like, what the hell? Why would you not keep this guy? He goes to Phillies, practice squad before we finally bring him back halfway through the season almost. And he was an improvement. We should have kept him. We were right. Happens once in a while, even a broken clock. So
right, twice a day.
Exactly. Next up, we got Mark Glowinski. Obviously,
your
guard.
favorite.
13 games in, 6 starts, 520 snaps. He actually had the second highest PFF grade of any of the players on the offensive line last year. That's not saying much. It's not
saying much.
That's much more a negative on the offensive line than it is a positive for a Glowinski. 64.8 PFF. So I mean, that still puts him as a average backup. Not very good. What it does do though is make you go, okay, is he worth keeping? But I still think he's expected to be a cap casualty here. His current cap hit is $7.182 million. And that's not good. It's a lot of money to pay for a guy who's playing like a backup. So cutting him saves us $5.682 million. So it's pretty safe to say he gone. He gone.
In the words of Justin Timberlake. Bye.
Exactly. Next up, we have the Burger King himself, Evan Neal. Right tackle, 7 games, 7 starts, 459 snaps, a 39.8 PFF grade, guys. That's freaking pathetic. That is the second lowest, I believe. No, third lowest. We got 2 others that are worse than him.
Oh, I was going to say it thus far, but
yeah. But Evan Neal's third year now, and he's going to be going to this with us. And to be honest, guys, he's going to make probably all 4 years with us just because of the cap number, and that's it. But the clock is a ticking, guys. The clock is a ticking because eventually, in his 4th year, you can just pay him to go away. And the way he's playing right now, guys, no one's going to pick him up with any anticipation of keeping him on an active roster. He preferred the fans as burger flippers, obviously, last year. That's why we make the burger jokes with him. But this is a guy that he himself is going to be in trouble very soon. Now, he has made enough money where it don't matter for him. He's got enough money where he can live the rest of his life if he wanted to, if he was smart with it.
He's going to be owning a franchise burger flipping place.
Yeah. He's going to be owning a few White Castles or something.
Yeah.
Classy joint. Everybody knows them for their romantic Valentine's Day spread.
Oh, they had a big spread this year.
Yeah, they always do. That's what they always do, White Castle. But yeah, like I said, he's 2 years in, going into the 3rd, and I look at him as a huge bust, a huge disappointment. And you can't be guaranteeing Evan Neal anything next year. You can't be. Joe Shane kind of alluded it to in the press conference, and I think he's of that mindset of, we can't count on this guy anymore. So I'm glad they've come out to that kind of conclusion. But I look at him as the guy that you go, you know what? Let's see what he does in camp. Let's see where he ends up. But we're going to have people in place to take his spot, both at right tackle, at the guard positions. I don't think he should be given any starting spot whatsoever. He should have to fight for every goddamn spot. He's going to get a roster spot by default because of the contract. But he's a guy that should not be guaranteed a damn thing because he's played so horrible. He's been horrible to the fans now. And that's where he's at. It's just, to me, it's a move that you got to make. You got to have it where you're not counting on Evan Neal for anything because he's shown you he's not ready for anything.
You just don't do that to Giants fans. It's messed up.
What?
So you just don't do that to Giants fans. That's
no, you don't talk trash about the fans of the team you play for. Like that's just stupidity.
Say actually any fans. Yeah.
Like, well, you can talk. Listen, you talk shit about Eagles fans. Go for it. They're horrible.
Yeah. Well, I just mean like if you're a player for any team or any organization, you don't trash that their fans or that city.
Like we literally pay your salary, dude. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up your face. Now we got two guys back to back that are interesting candidates because they're young, weren't drafted very high. Could keep them, could cut them, and I can understand either school of thought really. First one, Marcus McKethan, was guard / tackle this year, 16 games, 5 starts, 378 snaps, 45.4 PFF grade. Not very good, but keep in mind it's basically his rookie season. And that's part of the interesting thing with him. He basically lost his whole rookie season, minus a little bit of camp time to the ACL injury. So he's going to go into his 3rd year of his rookie deal. He's got a $1.054 million cap hit. If we cut him, it's $916,000 we save.
I think for the cost alone, like you probably keep him to be as a backup and see where he goes. Because once again, we all know this. So let's be repetitive and say it. Anyone that comes back from an ACL surgery does not play to their full potential. It takes like the 2nd year, unless you're a freak like AP. Yet you just don't come back the next year better than what you were prior to the surgery.
Yeah,
it's going to take time to get back to what you were. So he comes back next year, he brings up that PFF to like a 65, and you're like, all right, well, let's sign him to a 4th year and see if he could advance from there.
Well, like I said, he got his 30 years where he's going in now. And I think he goes into the realm of camp body. You bring him in, you let him go into camp, you let him fight it out. And in the back of your mind that if you have to cut him, you're losing, $100,000. That's it. You just freed up some cap space. You moved on from somebody who injured 1 year, didn't play the best the next. But if you keep him, it's a low-cost guy to have on the bench.
Yeah.
So either school of thought works, but I think you got to get him in the building next year, working with Carmine Brasillo, working with the team around him, and seeing where he's at. Because, again, we're talking about not the best year. But, guys, his PFF grade was higher than JMS. So, could have been worse. On this line, it could have been worse. And then we have his buddy, his college teammate, his draft class teammate, Josh Azudu, also a guard/tackle this year. 6 games, 5 starts, 265 snaps, a 42.4 PFF grade. Again, the same kind of situation. His third year he's going to be going into. He's got a 1.496 cap hit. A little higher because he was a third round pick, not I believe McKeithen was a 5th round pick, if I'm right.
I think so.
Yeah, so you're talking 1.5 million. Let's call it what it is. Keep it simple. We save $911,000 if we cut him. So he's about a $500,000 cap hit. But still, we can cut both these guys and lose $600,000 against the cap. Basically, where we're at.
Yeah,
and he follows that same thing, except for the only difference with him is he got hurt 2 years in a row. And I'll say this, and this is not an "I told you so" moment, because I don't like to be that guy with people who are on the team. I root for them. This was a bad pick from the get-go, guys. It was. He was drafted earlier than most people thought he would have been. He was drafted as a project. If you look at the tape of how he was in North Carolina and all, he was a project. This was not a guy ready to go that you want from a 3rd-round pick. A 3rd-round pick should be a guy who can step in and start if need be.
Yeah.
Azudu was not that. Azudu had issues with his hand placement. He had issue with his form like crazy. And then you let him loose on a horrible offensive line coach. Not a good combo.
And line, too. Don't forget about that. That line was not good.
Yeah, I mean, but you can still succeed better than what he did around poop. If anything, it should make it easier to shine. But he just hasn't, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't looked the best, and his issues with hand placement, all that kind of stuff, have been showing up on film like crazy. I just think, unfortunately, the Giants set him up to failure, and you put that combo with the fact that he got, injured both years. And unfortunately, it's not a good start to a career that may be over pretty quickly for him if he doesn't get healthy next year. Because
3 and out.
He's in that position where you're more likely to keep him than McKeithen because of the money difference there. But let's be honest, guys, $500,000 is not that much to throw away if he doesn't look good or if he gets healthy, if he gets hurt again. That's easy for the Giants to walk away from. No, that's what I'm saying. To us, it's like, that's a lot of money. But for the Giants, that's nothing. Absolutely nothing. So neither McKeithen or Azudu are locked to make this roster. And neither of them should be based on how they played so far. Sometimes your best thing to do as a GM, even when you're the one who picked the players, is to admit you made a mistake and move on.
Cut the ties. Yep. And
cut
the ties. Do this again.
Cut it out.
Uncle Jesse.
Oh, no. Was that Jesse or was that was the Joey, I thought?
Both of them did it.
Did they both do it? Oh, they both did it. It'll be a little Full House moment there.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to predictability? Milkman, the Paperboy, the evening TV. Such a good show it was.
San Francisco in the early 90s.
And I think every kid our age had a crush on one of the girls in the show too.
Depending on how old you were.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Depending on how old you were, yeah. I definitely had a crush on DJ Tanner.
Which one was the middle one?
Stephanie.
Stage difference.
It's pretty weird that I know the name of these characters still.
Yeah, they had the reboot on Netflix.
They did. Fuller House.
Yeah, which I totally didn't watch.
I watched some of her nostalgia and then I just stopped. It just wasn't the same. It is what it is. It's done. Anyway, back to the players here. Let's talk about some really bad draft picks the Giants had over the years. Next couple ones here.
Ooh, yeah.
Matt Peart. They're talking about a wasted third-round pick here. Tackle 8 games played, which I think is a record for Matt Peart. 1 star, 133 snaps, a 42.9 PFF grade. And he's a free agent officially. His rookie deal, he's actually seen the rookie deal through. And last year, you and I both were like, yeah, this guy's got to go. But we kept him. Yeah. Kept him going.
We're like, it depends, I guess, how much it's going to cost, but like what we got going on, the opportunities. But yeah, he's got to go.
Not only did we keep him, keep in mind, we kept him and got rid of Tyree Phillips.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in his defense, he didn't have the worst PFF rating.
He didn't. But on most teams, he would have.
Yeah.
Most teams he would have. I remember I watched one of the preseason games that I can't remember which one it was, but it was a run blocking scheme and he had to block a corner and he couldn't do it. The corner literally got past him and made the tackle.
It wasn't the Jets, was it?
I don't remember which team it was. I cannot remember for the life of me. But yeah, that's how bad he was, folks. And his time is done. So he is off to what's the new UFL league? Is that what it's called now? The USFL or the XFL? I think it's the UFL now.
It might be the UFL.
Yeah.
Did The Rock take over the XFL?
I don't know.
No,
he's a little too busy being a heel in wrestling now, trying to clean up Vince McMahon's mistakes. Yeah, I said it. It's okay.
Yep. And Vince McMahon also started the XFL, right?
I did. It all goes full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt Peart, I think his NFL career is done, point blank. Unless somebody brings him in to be a practice squad guy or a camp body this year without any expectations of him actually making the roster. That wouldn't shock me. But yeah, it's time for some spring football for him. That also goes for his draft class comrade there that I can't believe made it through his whole contract either. And congratulations, Mr. Shane Lemieux, for making it past one game. He got to pass one game for the first time since his rookie season. Yes, he made a whole 4 games this year, guys. 4 games, blowing away his previous record. One start on the year, 91 snaps, 34.3 PFF grade, guys. That's bad. That's really, really bad. That is second worst on this roster. Next one is the worst. This is a guy that I said years ago we should have gotten rid of. He wasn't very good his rookie year. For some reason, people had this idea that he was going to improve for some reason, even though he's a good run blocker, but he is literally the worst. He was like the worst pass blocking guard in the league his rookie year. I don't remember the exact number if he was exactly like the last, but if not, it was close to it. You don't go from bottom to good, guys. You can go from mid to good. You can go from good to great. You don't go from the very bottom. That doesn't really happen. But for some reason, he was treated like a savior. Every year he'd come back and, oh, look, Shane Lemieux's back. This is going to help the offensive line. And then he get hurt and he was done again. In one game.
All he has to do is stay healthy. He'll be good.
Yeah, can't stay healthy. He's done. Again, another guy that will probably end up in a spring football league somewhere. Yeah. Bye-bye. We got just a couple of guys here that barely played here, but like I said, we're going to give you the whole rundown of everybody that played. Jalen Bayfield, 3 games in, 0 starts, 46 snaps, 26.1 PFF rating, guys. Yeah. Whew. The scary thing, he's on the roster right now still, guys. He got a $985,000 cap number, but none of it's guaranteed. So he'll be in camp. For that reason alone, he'll be in camp. But I don't expect him to make it out of camp whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
Sean Harlow, center/guard, 8 games, 0 starts, 16 snaps. 16 snaps in 8 games, guys. Woo. 45.3 PFF rating, and he's a free agent. So yeah, I don't think anybody's looking forward to Sean Hollow coming back. He had 2 stints within the year. Remember, in the middle of the year, he went to go play for the Cowboys in their practice squad for a little while. So yeah, he's had two wars within the same year. He's done. Last guy, Jalen Thomas, tackle, 1 game, 3 snaps, 0 starts, 60 PFF grade.
Where have we behind this guy all year?
Seriously, 60 on the PFF. All 3 snaps he played.
Yeah.
He's got a $795,000 cap number next year, but again, none guaranteed. So you're going to see this guy as well. He's another guy who'll be around as a camp body. Probably won't make it out of camp. So let's go through here some of the comments here real quick, and then let's go over more of what we should be doing here going forward, because we're going to do this one a little different, guys, than we've been doing the other state of the teams that we've been doing here, because a lot of them, it's like, here's guys we could go after in free agency. Here's guys we could go after in draft. Most rosters, you got about 9 spots, guys. There are so many people we could look at and go over. We could spend 5 episodes going over possible additions to this line.
We could spend the next 12 hours going over it.
Yeah. So we're going to give you a scenario that I think fixes this offensive line. And I want to hear you guys' feedback on this. I really do. I want to see what everybody else thinks. But before we go into that, let's real quick go into the comments here. We got a couple I want to go over with you guys real quick. First off, Rob, there's your daddy. Says, howdy, boys.
Howdy.
Deb says, is this Neil's 4th year? This is his 3rd year he's going into.
Yes.
Timothy Frith says, should the Giants sign Tyler Biadasz from the Cowboys so John Michael Schmitz will be his backup? I would have loved if we drafted Tyler Biadasz. I remember flipping out when the draft was going on because we weren't taking him. He was available. We needed a center. I thought he was going to be very good. I'll say this, and I don't want to toot my own horn and make it seem like I'm always saying I'm right here. He hasn't necessarily been as good as I expected him to be. Coming out, I think it was Wisconsin. But he had a 68.6 PFF grade last year, guys. So not bad. You're right at that lower end starter kind of number there, according to PFF there. But JMS is getting into the year. You don't draft a guy in the 2nd round and then make him your backup in the next year.
Yeah.
Especially he doesn't make a good backup because all he plays is center. When you have backup offensive linemen, you want versatility. You want guys who can play guard, tackle. Can go play either side of tackle. Yeah, guy who can play center or guard, either guard positions, whatever, that kind of thing. So, I don't see that being a fit personally. I think they're going to look at this as we got a guy at center. Let's fix the probably don't have a guy. Christopher Tony says, what should the Giants do with this line, guys? And that's what we're going to get into right now. We're going to get into how to fix this. So we gave you guys every single player we've had. So if you look at based on the PFF rankings there, Andrew Thomas is the only bona fide starter we have. And Jalen Thomas, who again, only played 3 snaps. I don't know if you want to really consider him. And Mark Lewinsky is the only people who actually graded out as good backups. And again, Thomas was 3 snaps, and Lewinsky is going to be cut. Everybody else is considered replaceable. So here's where we look at. Again, we mentioned Andrew Thomas and John Michael Schmitz are probably the only ones guaranteed to be starters next year. So you have left tackle and you have center figured out. Evan Neal was guaranteed a spot on this roster next year just because of his contract. But he should not be handed a starter job, as we said, and should be considered as a possible guard also going forward, as he struggled greatly at the tackle position. Again, that doesn't mean you hand him a starting guard position. You let him fight it out. But that means that's 3 of the 9 typical spots on a 53-man roster. So we got to figure out 6 more guys. So there's some guys that I wouldn't be upset if we re-signed, but I don't want them given a guaranteed start. I want them to be. I want to open competition for the 3 positions. I really do. And I want it to be that kind of thing where, like, okay, we have these 2 guys. Everybody else fight it out. I mean, even John Michael Schmitz, I wouldn't mind if they brought somebody else in that plays center just to kind of give them a little, fire that are going. Yeah. But guys that we had last year that I wouldn't mind us resigning: Ben Bredesen, Justin Pugh, and Tyree Phillips. And to be very frank, Justin Pugh, a lot of that is because of the leadership he brought.
Yes.
I'd be just as happy if he was an assistant offensive line coach. It's not his abilities as much as his mentorship.
Probably get him cheaper.
Probably could, but he's going to want to play probably still.
Yeah.
But again, we signed him, week 6 was it? I think we signed week 4.
In that ballpark.
It was week 4, I think.
Maybe.
So, 5
or 6.
It's not like he had people kicking down the doors to go sign him last year. And it's not like he played that good this year where anybody else is going to go, oh my God, Justin Pugh, that's the guy we need.
Yeah.
This fixes our line problems now. We're done. Here's the championship. Justin Pugh's here.
Just take it. We're good. So sorry. We leave.
And then you go into guys that I expect us to keep, but have to earn a spot in camp. That's Marcus McKeithen, Josh Azudu, Jalen Mayfield, and Jalen Thomas. So now you got to sprinkle in some guys that you're going to sign or draft. My perfect world scenario is we sign a starting caliber right tackle and a guard in free agency. And then we draft a guard like the second, third round. Keep in mind, we got 3 picks in those 2 rounds. And those guys get to compete with that second guard position there. So I'm looking at what we got money-wise. We don't have a ton of money, guys. I'll be very frank with you. We do not have a ton of money. But we could easily make up a lot of money. We restructure deals with Andrew Thomas and with Dexter Lawrence. The numbers already been out there. I think by the time we do some cuts and some restructuring, I think we're at like $57, $58 million, something like that we can do this offseason. So to me, I think we're going to be able to sign like 2-3 guys that are like legit, okay, these are decent name guys. And I think one of them's got to be at the offensive line position because of the issues.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, I had the Giants signing from the Rams guard Kevin Dotson, who is going to be one of the most sought-after offensive linemen in the NFL. I looked up to see what people thought he would get in free agency. They got him at a 4-year, $69 million contract. That's what the estimate's coming out. He had an 85.2 PFF grade, guys.
Sign me up.
This guy instantly solidifies our offensive line. Now, at the tackle position, we've talked about this guy endless times because Rob and I were the first ones to even talk about this guy. All of a sudden, all of the Giants podcast afterwards started talking about him. I don't know if they're listening to us or it just took them a little longer to put 2 and 2 together like we did. But Jermaine Eleanor from the Raiders, right tackle, again, would be following Carmine Brasillo from the Raiders. Was also with the Patriots as well. 68.5 PFF grade. 2 years, $7.5 million is the estimates I saw online of what they think he's going to be worth in the open market there. So much cheaper option. But what that does is it gives you flexibility if you have to put him in a swing tackle position. If you want to have him be a guard, because he's played guard before as well, it gives you options with a player that's not that expensive. You got one guy who's expensive, one guy who's not. Because let's be honest here, you're not going to fix this line by just throwing money at it and getting a bunch of the best players out there.
No.
It doesn't work that way. Nobody builds that way. So you got one guy who's cheap, one guy who's not cheap. Now we draft somebody. Like I said, we got 3 picks in that second and third round. I'm going to say we use our first second-round pick, and we get Oregon's center, Jackson Powers Johnson. And the reason I used him specifically in this scenario is because the Giants already talked to him about playing guard, which he has played before. He was center in Oregon, but he's played guard before. Now, the reason I like him in this scenario, besides the fact the Giants talked to him, we know they're interested in him. They talked to him at the Senior Bowl. Is this is a guy that you can go ahead and throw in a guard. Let's say JMS gets injured. Let's say JMS doesn't play well next year. Here's your guy to put at center. Yeah, you have a guy that you can throw in at center if need be. that legit plays center. Remember when JMS got hurt last year, we're putting Ben Bredesen there, who doesn't know the position. Quite frankly, doesn't know it. Is not a center, never played before. So I like that. And to me now you have a legit offensive line. I mean, look at what you got there. You got Andrew Thomas now at the left tackle position. Okay. I mean, that's, again, a guy that I think could play even better next year. You got the left guard. There's going to be basically a fight between Jackson Powers Johnson and Evan Neal. And if you want to throw in Azudu and McKeithen and let them have a shot at it too, what the hell? I don't care. Let whoever wants to fight it out, fight it out. You got JMS at center. You got Kevin Dotson now at right guard. That's because that's the side he plays. And Jermaine Eleanor at right guard and right tackle. That's a lot better of a freaking line, guys. A lot better of a line. Now you go from having one guy in the 70s to a guy that should go in the 80s if assuming he's healthy. A second guy in the 80s. A guy that was just about 70 last year. And assuming JMS improved, let's say he goes into even to the upper 60s or something. I'm not saying anything crazy, upper 60s. And let's say you get, even low 60s at the left guard position. This isn't light the world on fire. We have the best offensive line known to man, guys.
But it's a significant improvement.
Huge improvement.
When your average line, when the line was averaging what we'll say conservatively, like just shy of 50 points, even with through the year, you can turn around and put this at a 65 average, 70 average, like
now you're an average offensive line. And I know that doesn't sound probably very appealing to a lot of people. Like, wow, this guy, what the hell? Here's your master plan to get us to mediocrity. Like, yes, but that's a legitimate goal, guys. If you think we're gonna in 1 year go from having basically the worst, if not bottom five, I should say, in the NFL line position. I would sit there and say worse, and that's just because I was staring at them all game long and just hated them. Yeah. But I mean, you're not going to go from worst to first. That doesn't happen. There's a reason why it's a big deal when it does occasionally happen in the sports world. It doesn't happen very often. That's not legitimate. That's not a legitimate thing to expect or hope for. Yeah. But if you can go from really bad to average,
if you turn around and go from, and let's just spit out a high number. If you go from rank 30 to rank 12, that's a big difference. That's good. Even if you go from 30 to 18, that's a third of the NFL jump.
Yeah. Well, like I said, to me, that's like, sign me up. Like, if you're going to tell me right now that's what we're going to get, sign me up. I will take it right now. That's a legitimate growth. That's a legitimate improvement. And again, you got, basically all five guys would be the second best player on the offensive line. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to think about how bad this team was, guys. You shouldn't have 40s across the board. Yeah. Like Andrew Thomas was hurt for much of the year. That's literally what you had was 40s across the board. You wonder why Saquon couldn't get anything going. You wonder why the quarterbacks couldn't get any time going. That's all of them, including DJ. And everybody knows I've been the one bashing DJ probably worse than everybody here. I'm not giving him a pass. He still needs to move on. We still need to move on from him. But if you guys think that we need that, this is like okay, like watch the games. Because I don't care who we get behind center next year. Whether it's somehow like a guy like a Drake May or a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels, or if it's one of the other guys like a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix or a JJ McCarthy, like this is not going to work with this line. It's not. You got to fix it. And you got to fix it immediately, because if not, you're going to risk messing up the next quarterback that we get. Because I'm saying right now, I don't think that necessarily Daniel Jones had a massive ceiling. I don't. But I think he never reached his full potential with us because of us. It's the Giants' fault. We didn't set him up for success. We didn't give weapons around him. We didn't set up an offensive line around him. We never, we bounced him from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. We did everything that guys like the Lions and the Bears and the Bengals prior to like recent history, like the Browns, the crappy teams of the league specifically do. That's what we did, guys.
Let's spend a lot of money, get a quarterback, and then just screw him over. Never give him the same OC. Never give him a good offensive line. Never give him any weapons. Yeah, you're right. That's a set for success.
Exactly. So let's set this next one up for success. Let's do it right. Let's get him an offensive line that can block. Because, again, you got Dotson at the right guard position in this scenario. Brings you like over 40 points higher, that one position. You're probably going to see a 10-point PFF grade increase by Andrew Thomas if he can stay healthy next year, because he is an all-pro level. JMS gets a 10, let's say hypothetically. This is like, again, you got a guy who was what was Evan Neal again? 39 last year.
Yes.
Instead of again Jermaine at 69, it's a 30-point increase right there. This is a massive increase, guys. And I'm really hoping, Joe Shane, I hope you're watching, because this is legitimately able to be done
for a fairly cheap price.
I wouldn't say fairly cheap, because you're still going to pay a good amount of money for Dotson. I mean, Dotson right there you're looking at is going to be $17-18 million a year. You're going to pay him very high.
I mean,
but if you're telling me you can get these two players for $20-21 million a year for the next couple of years, and it's going to make that kind of an increase in the offensive line, do it. Do it. That's steal. And like I said, after next year, you're not paying DJ anymore. So you don't have this big contract from a QB. You need to take advantage of that and get these kind of players that other teams can't get, because they're paying $50 million their starting quarterback. They don't have that ability. We do. Do it. Do it till you're satisfied. Whatever it is. Got to do it. So do the do. All right, guys. Let's get into real quick some news here. Not a lot of news the last couple of days. I got to say, I kind of expect the next couple weeks to be really quiet. I think you're going to see in the 10 days or so, you'll start seeing, a good amount of stuff with the, with the combine going at that point, and then eventually free agency. So
what's it, 69 days to the draft?
You just wanted to say 69. I'm on to you. So yeah, let's pay the bills real quick, and then let's get into the little bit of news we got here, and then we're gonna call it a night here for you guys. On to paying the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
It's time for the news.
Oh, yes. It's time for that Giants news there. And we only got one item for you guys here. And this is something that was actually not even the Giants. This was something that was on ESPN, promoted by former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum, who, to be very frank, I feel like is an absolute moron after hearing this. He suggested that what we do is the Giants should call up the the Browns, and they should trade Daniel Jones and a second-round pick to the Browns for Deshaun Watson. That's what he suggested. Yeah. What the hell? So
we think we're spending a lot of money on DJ.
And that's the thing. We can get out of DJ after next year. We're going to be stuck for 3 years with Deshaun Watson. Their whole point was that he thinks that, okay, well, they have Joe Flacco played really good. They can give up Watson, draft somebody else to replace Flacco, and give Flacco one more year under center. Meanwhile, the Giants feel like they can't compete because they don't have a quarterback, and this gives them a quarterback. I can understand to a certain degree that Deshaun Watson is a horrible, horrible human being. There's no other way for me to put it, guys. And I'm telling you right now, there are very few players that make me have this stance. But if we were to sign Deshaun Watson, all this Giants gear behind you gets thrown in the garbage. Thrown in the garbage. That's how against the idea of having Deshaun Watson on this roster I am. And I'm sorry, I'm not sitting there saying that the Giants haven't had bad players in the past. I'm not saying they don't have any now. For all I know, there's a couple of them that are horrible human beings. I have no clue. I don't know these people personally.
It's never been the move of the Giants organization or the Mara family to go out and hire someone like Watson. Someone that's been an issue.
And they were very public about it when he was available by trade, saying they would not be trading for him.
Yeah, that's not their MO. Like,
no,
it's much of the problems the Mara family has.
Yeah, I mean,
they stay classy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't with a guy like that. To have that many people came forward, I can't believe they're all making it up. So, yeah, I'm good. I want nothing to do with that POS, alleged POS. So I don't get sued.
Alleged. Well, no, allegedly he did it. You still call him a piece of poop.
Okay, as long as I don't get sued for defamation of character, because I can't get sued. I'm too poor for that. If we get sued, though, you can bet that we'll be talking more about buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Buy me a lawyer. Buy me a lawyer.
Buymealawyer.com/2giantgoofballs. Yeah. So let's get to the NFL news, though. We do have a little bit of NFL news. Some of them include some people that might be interesting for us as far as free agency time period and all. So let's go into that real quick for you guys. Oh, yes. The exploding football is the best part. So we got some Bucs news here. Some stuff in my backyard here going on. So Bucs are likely to use the tag on Antoine Winfield Jr., which to me is a huge mistake, but whatever. I can't, they want to do what they want to do. You have so many. Baker Mayfield, their quarterback's a free agent. Mike Evans, we'll talk about in a minute, is a free agent. But let's use it on the safety. Don't get me wrong. Antoine Winfield is a really good safety, guys. He's a really good safety. But that's a luxury. Positional value, guys. I'm still saying it. Positional value.
What's the cost of tagging your safety?
I'd have to look it up, which is sad because even with us having Xavier McKinney, I don't know off the top of my head. I know the top 10, the ranges, I want to say anywhere from $12 million to $19 million. So you figure it's probably like $16, $17 million around there. That's probably a little high potentially, but
yeah, I was going to say like 12.
Yeah, no, 12. 12 is the very bottom of the top 10. That's a position that people are paying more and more for. But I just, like I said, there's not many times a safety is that guy who makes your defense your defense. It might be the final piece of a defense. So if you want to sign a safety, it's a big name safety because you're this close to getting a championship. I get it. But that's not the Bucs. That's not most teams out there. So makes no sense to me, but that's what they want to do. It might be because they have a great relationship with Mike Evans overall as well. And they don't think that Baker Mayfield is going to have that big of a, case. I mean, they're talking about, I heard rumors of Baker Mayfield, 3 years, $75 million. That puts him at $25 million a year. That's not that way.
Probably.
For most people, that's a lot of money. For a starting quarterback in this league, that's nothing.
No, that's probably
it really is. I'd be kind of shocked if he takes that. And I mean, obviously, you can look at what what's out there for him otherwise. But if I was him, I'd want a lot of incentive options in that thrown into too. Because if you're going to be a good quarterback in this league, you want at least $40 million a year nowadays, if not more. So But as you said, Mike Evans expected them to be a free agent. He's on track to be one. Apparently, the two sides are very far apart, which is very interesting to me. Mike Evans has been a Buck since day one. He is Mr. Buck, basically. He's Mr. Tampa, and he's very well thought of here. So we'll have to see how that follows, because that's a guy that I know a lot of people have kind of pegged to the Giants. I still don't see that happening.
I don't see it.
He's 30 years old. He's, used to playing in a winner lately, at least. He's played on both. I know he wants to go back to losing. Not to be cruel about it, but the Giants were not going to probably, be championship contenders next year. We're just guys that hope to get back to the playoffs next year. That's not good enough for what he's done lately, Watch him go to the Chiefs. That'd be freaking crazy.
That would be nuts. So,
can you imagine?
Franchise tag on a safety is $14,460,000.
Yeah, see, I said about 15, 16, so it wasn't too far off. So, like I said, I don't see it personally, but whatever. Like I said, they know more than we do as far as that. They have conversation with these guys. That's probably what it is. They just feel confident that Mike Evans is going to give them a shot to match anything, kind of like Saquon with us, and that there's not much of an open market for Baker. Where's Baker going to go? I mean, realistically, where would Baker go?
I think he would take less money. I think he would take less money to stay as the Buck.
We'll see.
Go somewhere else. He flat out said this is the most comfortable he's felt in an offense in a scenario since he came into the NFL playing for the Buccaneers.
So, and he's been enough offenses to know.
That's what I'm saying. So he played pretty well.
Arguably
played his best. Arguably played his best football besides his rookie year down in Tampa and went to the playoffs. So I think you take a little bit less.
Went to the playoffs asterisk.
You might take $1 million or $2 less.
No, I'm saying asterisk when they went to the playoffs because they won the NFC South.
Yeah, well,
someone had to.
Still had to do it.
Someone had to.
So he played. He definitely played better in the second half of the year. So, which I definitely did not call. I called, he blows his load in the first 6-8 games, and he started doing that a little bit. He started going down, but he came back. So he feels comfortable playing for that organization. I think he takes a little bit less. I don't think he'd tag him. I think he'd get him at a good deal, and that's probably why, Winfield got tagged and not Baker.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Raiders, because the Raiders are apparently trying to find a trade partner in order to get rid of Hunter Renfrow. So Hunter Renfrow had 1,038 receiving yards back in 21, just a couple years ago. He's had 585 in the past 2 seasons. Not very good. In fact, he didn't even see a single pass thrown his way the last 3 weeks of last season. That's how out of the loop he is in Las Vegas. So he's got a big contract though. So we'll have to see there. He's going to be $8.21 million, whoever trades for him next year. That's taking out the salary, signing bonus and all that the Raiders would then be stuck paying instead. So, I mean, I look at if you're a team that needs a receiver, you don't get a ton of money, but you need a shifty kind of slot receiver kind of guy. Maybe you take the chance because, again, $8.21 million. It's a lot of money, guys, but it's not a lot of money for a guy that you think could potentially be a 1,000-yard receiver. So it's a matter of, do you think, because you can go back to the 2 years, say, what's different, Josh McDaniels?
Makes sense.
But I'm saying you could look at that and go, okay, is this what it was? He does not fit that offense, and he's better than the other offense he was in. And is my offense like that prior offense? You can have that internal discussion. It's a legit conversation to have there. So we'll see what happens. But, there's definitely some question marks, and it's definitely a high risk, high reward scenario, I feel like, because you're going to have to give up a pick to get him. You'll see. He's also 28 years old. So he's starting to get where, how many more years do you have him at a top level? Considering his top level hasn't been very top now, too. Other wide receiver news: the Ravens extended Nelson Aguilar, so he's officially not going to be a free agent. He was going to have some void years put onto his contract. That's how they had to get. That's how to do to sign him last year, is put void years on. But they've adjusted everything. He's got a brand new contract. Ravens also expected to target a running back addition in the offseason via free agency. Now, I've heard fans talk about Saquon and the Ravens. I haven't heard anybody legit NFL source. It's one to keep an eye on. That's the one. But it's one,
I don't see it.
It's one to keep an eye on, because if you're looking at top free agents, he's going to be there, and because he's going to be there, you're going to talk about that. But I mean, look at the list of people that are going to be out there this year at the running back position: Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Gus Edwards, who ironically is from Baltimore there, but he had a decent year. Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift. There's some guys out there that legit you can go, okay, hold on a second here. These guys did some stuff. Like, it wasn't like this is nothing kind of guys. This is legit guys out there, So I think it's going to be an interesting offseason overall. And it kind of got a pause because last year we had the big three with Saquon, Pollard, and Josh Jacobs. And all three of them ended up getting the tag and stayed on the tag for the most part. Somebody got a little bit of extra cheese thrown their way at that point to keep them happy. But for the most part, that's what happened. Austin Eckler got a little money thrown his way to make him happy. Well, because he was asking for a trade. So you got basically 2 years of running back free agents thrown together at this position now. That doesn't help their cases. Because now you can go, oh, okay, you don't want this money? Well, guess who does? This person wants that money. And it's legitimate, cases with these guys.
Supply and demand.
But I don't know. I just look at these and go, you know what? The Giants will end up with a running back probably because of this. They might not end up with the one they started with, but they'll end up with one of them.
Maybe.
And I'm kind of curious to see how this goes down. A.J. Dillon. I forgot A.J. Dillon's also going to be a free agent. So there's another one there for you. Just looking at the list here. Antonio Gibson is going to be one. Josh Kelly, who had a decent one for the Chargers, actually. Kareem Hunt again. Yeah, there's some names on here, guys. There's some names. So we'll have to see what happens. It's going to be interesting offseason with the running backs there. Packers expected to cut longtime left tackle David Bakhtiari. Don't try to say that 10 times fast. He's a great player for them a long time. He can't stay healthy, guys. And he's got like a $40 million cap hit this year. So he got to go because they got still money for him. For a guy who can't stay healthy, they're not going to pay him that, obviously. Watch him be a Jet. I'm just saying. That's the way the cookie crumbles lately. Watch him be a Jet and watch him go play with Aaron Rodgers next year. Jets need tackles. Aaron Rodgers played with them for a while. I'm just telling you the writing's on the wall for that one. I won't even talk about him as an option for the Giants because he'd have to play right tackle first off. Second of all, he's going to be a Jet. When you're a Jet, you're a Jet to the Jet. Steelers, we talked about them last week that they're cutting Mason Rudolph. Now it says rumors are they're expecting to re-sign Mason Rudolph after cutting him last week. So, just a little bye-bye and hello.
I guess they're maybe possibly redoing his contract.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a contract thing at that point. So. But obviously he wants to stay there too because if he's going to re-sign him that quickly. People that
towards the last stretch, he was one of the better quarterbacks that played for him. So
the category of quarterbacks that people don't want to keep, though, Jimmy Garoppolo is expected to be cut by the Las Vegas Raiders. He's also going to be suspended for the first 2 games next year for a PED policy violation. of course, he says he didn't mean to, and of course, they say, "I don't care. You're suspended anyway." Yeah,
But
that just
like,
never
no,
seems to
man.
shock me. You know, if you're a professional athlete, I don't care what sport you're playing. You need to know exactly what's in your body. You need to know exactly what is approved, not approved. And if you're not sure if something's approved or not, you email the league or the Players Association or whoever you need to email to get an answer if this is okay or not. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's got two games he's suspended for. To be very frank, he's going to be a backup quarterback for somebody. I'm going to say this, and I might get shot for saying this, guys. Not by Robbie, he has no gun with him, luckily. But if we don't get a quarterback in the draft, we could do worse than Garoppolo. I'm just saying, like, it's not like you're going to have, Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow available. Like,
no, it's also the draft. No one knew who Patrick Mahomes was coming out of that draft.
No, and
except for Andy Reid.
But that's why I said if we don't get one in the draft, let's say hypothetically at 6, the big 3 are gone. We don't think any of the guys are worth it. We don't have a trade like we want. We go ahead and get a wide receiver. And let's say by the time we pick next time, whoever we like is gone.
Yeah.
You don't force the pick. You can do a whole lot worse than Jimmy G and Daniel Jones fighting it out.
They both got.
And again, I'm not high in either one of them. Let me be very clear on that. I'm not suggesting either one of them is the long-term answer.
Let's get Derek Carr while we're at it. Like,
he's a saint. He's not getting cut. But what I'm just saying is that either one of them could be a 1-year guy while we wait for the next draft or the next potential option. Just saying. You could do worse. Could do worse. So, all righty, guys. So this calls it a night. We'll be back again for you guys Wednesday. Switch over to the defensive side of the ball to get the state of the team here. We'll go over the defensive line next. So, yes, might be some sexy thing.
Talk about the D.
Oh, yes, the D. Oh, yeah. So we'll be back, like I said, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Always, of course, live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook,
Don't forget about
Instagram, Twitch. I'm trying to remember. You can tell I got sleep last night. I'm like, what you want to be doing next? Dirty.
We're doing,
and of course,
Drew's LinkedIn page.
Yes, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. So Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. We are there. So like I said, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, be there or be square. And this is not one of those situations where it's hip to be square. So don't do it. Don't do it.
We're not Huey Lewis in the news. Exactly.
So we'll see you guys again, like I said, Wednesday. And then Thursday, we'll go over the edge room at that point there. So so defensive line and edge coming up the rest of the week, unless any big news breaks, but I doubt any big news will break. Let's be honest here. This is the time of the year where everybody's at that waiting time period right now. They want to see the rookies before they make any final moves here for the most part. So like I said, we'll give you any news that does pop in. We'll see you guys again Wednesday. And as always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.